Hello and welcome to another video tutorial Monday. This week I wanted to show you what I'm making for the landscaping challenge that's currently starting today. And this challenge is calling all critters. So it's to use lawn fawn critters on your card. And so I pulled out all of my critter sets that I have here. And I decided that I wanted to make a birthday card for my boyfriend. So what I did was I I used these three sets, which this one is Critters in the Burbs, Critters in the Snow, and then Critters in the Forest. And I stamped some of the characters onto vintage cream cardstock. You can see that I already did this here. And now I'm just going to color them with various shades of browns. And I wanted to show you my plan for the card. My plan was to have this landscape card with the critters across the bottom and wearing birthday hats cut out from this paper. This is the Hattie collection from My Mind's Eye. And then I might even use one of these stickers. I'm not sure yet. But I thought this would be kind of a masculine kind of color scheme, and by keeping all the animals in browns, it will help kind of keep the card together. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to speed up my coloring, and yeah, I'll be back in a second when these are colored. So I'm done coloring my critters, and you can see about 2 critters in, I decided that I was just going to cut them out anyways, so it didn't matter if I stayed in the lines. And actually that's a really fun part about Prismacolors is Prismacolor pencils are so nice that when you scribble really fast, you can't even really see the streakiness of the color. So although you might have to go back and go the opposite direction or something like that, they're going to look great once I cut them out. So, oh, and by the way, I pared down my colors. I started out with 8 different colors of brown and then decided that that was just too many to have. So I stuck to 4, and I stayed with burnt ochre, sienna brown, chocolate, and espresso. So that helped me just keep them all in the same color group. So now I'm just going to cut them out, and I'm also going to pick out a yellow color for the noses that matches this paper pad, and a pinkish color for the other noses. And then I'll be back in a second after I cut these babies out. Alright, so I've cut out all my animals here, and I have 8 of them total, so I'm going to need to make 8 birthday hats. These are just the scraps that I have sitting around in the pad themselves from doing other projects. Oh, and I also, when I did the critters, I cut them out. I went back with yellow ochre and peach for the noses and beaks and feet. And then I traced around the outside with this Copic multi-liner, and that helped give them a nice, good, cohesive look. Especially when you use colored pencils, the lines can kind of become dull because you color over them. So going back with the marker really helps. So I'm just going to draw some hats, and I'm going to try to make them all different here. I just want to keep in mind the different sizes. So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 larger hats, 2 medium hats, and 2 small hats. So this one can be a medium hat, and I just gotta keep the size of the critter in mind here. And just to keep track of everything, I'll cut it out as I go, just in a square. And then this one can be a large hat. And if you hear that pounding in the back, it's because my neighbor is building a skate ramp. So, yes, my neighborhood is interesting. Okay, and then I'm planning on using this for the background of the card, so I won't use that pattern. This can be another large hat. Okay, now I can go ahead and cut my little party hats out. Just go ahead and adhere our pieces to our animals. So I'm just going to put some glue on the bottom part of the hat and then set it off on top of the animal. And I'll do them at different angles just so for a little bit of interest. And then this is the top piece with, I'm just going to ink it with more pumice stone, which is this beautiful gray color that matches this set of paper so well. And I guess I'm just using every color neutral in this card because I have brown, the black ink, and then this gray. And there's even some navy in here, so it's an eclectic card for sure. But that goes with the eclectic theme of all the critters together, so I guess that works. Okay, and you see the overlap helped because now this edge looks like I measured it perfectly and it meets up perfectly. So next what I can do is just lay out my little critters here, and hopefully they'll all fit on the card, but they might not all fit. Okay, so I've decided what I'm just going to do is just start putting them down because I'm not going to know how they fit perfectly until I'm starting to lay them down. So I'm going to use my Zig 2-way glue pen for this, just because there are a lot of small areas I don't want to have to mess with dry adhesive and the extra getting everywhere. So I'm just going to start putting my larger animals on first, and I'll put those more towards the background, and then I can layer the smaller animals in the front, and even use some dimensional adhesive. And it'll make it really pop off the card. Alright, so now that I have my little critters adhered down, and you can see I put the front ones on dimensional adhesive, I'm going to make my little birthday banner. And instead of spelling out each letter individually, I'm just going to use this stamp from Lawn Fawn. And I know, scary, I'm going to cut it. Just using my Tim Holtz scissors. Just make sure you don't cut the part that stamps and you're fine. You can always put it back together. But I just wanted to have these separate so that I could make each word a different piece of banner. So I'm going to stamp these in Memento Black ink because that's what I stamped everything else in for this card. And I just have this piece of paper that's also from the same My Mind's Eye collection pad. And take that off my block. Okay, and now, I mean, I could use a paper cutter, but I'm not going to, just because I'm kind of lazy today. I'm just going to cut these apart and just try to make them look like they have the same amount of border around them. And then I'm just going to cut this piece in half. And you'll see why in a second. And I'm going to ink the edges of each of these pieces. And now, what I can do, I'm just going to adhere this with regular adhesive because I want it to make it look like it's kind of in the background. So I'm just going to apply adhesive to all of my pieces. That'll make them really easy to place. And I'm just going for something that's kind of centered here. Or maybe, actually I'm going to have it kind of off to the side here, because then that doesn't give me the pressure of actually worrying about it being centered. And then these two other pieces are just for going off the side. So this goes behind the hat. We can cut off the excess. And now what I'm going to do is punch or pierce holes in between each one of these banner pieces. So right here, and right here. And then I'm going to use these brads as a way to fasten my embroidery floss to the card. So I'm just kind of prying the brad apart, putting the floss in between the pieces of the brad, kind of closing it back up together so it'll fit through the hole, and then putting it in, and then flipping it over, open the brad, and there it's secured to the card. And this is really cute because even though it's a masculine card, it is for my boyfriend, so I wanted to include some hearts. It's kind of an understated cuteness. So I'm just going to do this to the rest of the brads. And the nice part about this is you can adjust the floss after you put the brad in, so you don't need to be that precise about it at first. And now that I have my little brads here all in, I can go around and just secure the ends of the floss with some washi tape. Cut off the excess here. And then all this needs is a little bit of pumice stone distress ink around the edges, just to tie everything all together. And I've decided that I'm also going to add 2 more brads just over here in the little margins, just to kind of finish everything off, because I felt like it was missing a little something. So this will help balance it a little bit more. And here's a tip: you can use your Tim Holtz scissors to cut off the edges of brads because they cut through metal. So that helps make the sides nice and clean. And then there we have it. This is our finished card for this week. And it involves all these cute little critters, and this goes along with the lawnscaping challenge for this week. So visit the lawnscaping challenge blog at lawnscaping.blogspot.com. And I hope you enjoyed this week learning along with me. Thank you very much for stopping by, and I'll catch you again next week for another video tutorial Monday.